Hello everyone, I'm TTR and today I'm gonna try to answer a question that was popping up very recently on a few places on the internet. It's for game stationers about building solar panels or solar energy on Venus. And pretty much people were saying that you cannot use the basic solar panels or you cannot build, the early windows, or can you build pretty much early solar due to the fact that it's gonna get destroyed or melted down or whatever, destroyed by weather events. Which is absolutely not true. You can build the basic solar panels, so not the heavy duty ones. So I'm talking about not the heavy one, but the normal ones, or even the basic ones that you cannot automate, right? Uh, for all intents purposes, I use actually the kit solar panel, so it's the one that requires steel. But if you, for instance, want to have non-automated one, which is this one, you can also use them for this example. But I have those which are subject to the weather event, and normally they get destroyed. And the solar panels I have here are already survived 3 storms. Now they require steel, so this is a little bit important. I'm gonna get to that one in a bit second. So the kind of premise of this means that you already have ability to make steel, or you already have a steel, because you can build this window hotbox, sort of two-way. But if you don't have a steel and you're gonna go with those solar panels, the kit basics, the one that are, doesn't have rotation or angular adjustment, that's fine. You will be doing this before steel and it's absolutely fine, right? So let's get actually to a problem at hand, right? First of all, the solar panels, the basic solar panels, you know, or this one, the solar panel, aka, will be destroyed when they are exposed to the weather event. And the problem number two is using the iron wall or iron window is impossible due to the fact that the Venus pressure, let me just, is 238 kPa, while they being rated, the windows being rated only 200 kPa. Now, some people don't understand this is not the maximum pressure that the building can be exposed to. This is maximum pressure of a difference between one on the other side. So the pressure inside and outside cannot differ by more than 200 kilopascals. So you can have built this box if it's within the same pressure, but you cannot vacuum it. And this is when many people said, oh yes, if you're gonna use normal solar panels and try to put them in the room, you're gonna vacuum in and the room gonna implode to the fact of a pressure difference. That's absolutely correct. We don't vacuum it. We keep it unvacuumed. But then the people are gonna say, oh, if you enclose it with the atmosphere in, it's gonna heat up and it's gonna self-ignite. And yes, that's absolutely correct. But we don't have this also sealed. You see, this is not actually any cheat. This is actually within the game mechanics. What we have here is an open door that stay open during clear weather, and it's gonna be closed when the weather is changing, and especially when there is a storm, right? So just to prove you that this is iron window, this is obviously iron wall, and all of those you can see by the glass markings are iron windows. So this is 200 kPa. I even have here a glass door. Glass door is also 200 kPa. None of this is damaged. None of the panel is damaged, and I didn't fix them, right? And I didn't connect that one because I was just adding more. I had only one row, but they are not actually damaged, right? And the reason for that is pretty much the store. So to explain this a little bit more, right? When I'm here, I'm inside the room. that has a Venus atmosphere, right? It's, exactly the same composition as in a room and outside. By the way, if you want to see if something is defined by room, use your atmospherics tablet. It's gonna show room and the ID. If it shows world, it means that you're outside, right? The weather event, they pretty much work in a way that when the weather event is happening, the game check if an item that can be damaged by weather event is outside, aka in world, or in room that has atmosphere composition of world atmosphere during the weather event. So if I have this open or missing window, right, when the weather event happens, the pressure, sorry, the atmospherics within the room gonna equalize to what's on the outside world, and then this starts getting damaged, right? So this is why you need to have this fully enclosed, or
Hunger critical.
at least seal. And apologize because it will be complaining about food and water. It's fine. So the idea is that this should be closed, but if this would be fully closed, then this temperature over here start rising, the pressure will start rising, and or the room gonna explode, or it gonna self-ignite slowly. So, pretty much packing this to simple, idea means that
Hydration critical.
that's also a problem, but for the later, means that you need to have this room ventilated all the time except when the weather event is happening. And this is when this doors comes in action, right? And the weather station and a little bit of logic. So weather station, pretty much when it's unpowered, that spinning thingy gonna start rotating when the weather event is about to happen. So weather event is imminent, or when it's happening, obviously, right? Although that you're gonna see. But when it's powered and connected, you can read the state, and it effectively sends you three information: if the weather is clear, if it's about to change, or if it's already happening. And based on those three kind of events, you can program this door to do its thing, right? So it's effectively programmed that during clean weather, this door is open and kept open. I'm gonna close it. It's effectively keep them open. So I accidentally don't close it and start getting here build up of the temperature. Even if I close it here a couple of times, you could probably see temperature might be rising, or time you might have seeing a particle coming out because it's now balancing, the temperature over here. We have a tiny increase of a temperature and it's ventilated over here, right? And in the same logic, during the weather event, these doors will stay closed. Now, I'm not locking them, so in case I'm actually being inside working and the weather change, I can still exit it by pressing it and just running out, and they're gonna shut behind me. But if we're gonna do this only during the weather event, it will be a little bit too late because that atmosphere over here will pretty much balance out with the one that is in world. So the logic is that this door is being closed when the weather is about to change. So when the warning is happening, the warning status is happening. Now, if this is gonna be closed, this gonna slowly heat up, rise the pressure, but because the room is quite big, it's actually not a big problem. Nothing's gonna break over here. And it's actually beneficial because when the weather hits in, it actually gonna clearly see that the weather that is in the world during the weather event, the atmospherics, or the atmosphere composition during weather event is totally different than within this room. Therefore, it sees this room as sealed, so nothing in here is then subject to be damaged because of the weather. And this is what you want, right? Now, you might gonna go and say, you know what, door, okay, fine, I'm gonna do this with vents. Passive vent, valve in between. You can do it, but first of all, you need loads of passive vents inside and outside to actually have ability to transfer the atmosphere or exchange the atmosphere in between those two entities very quickly. If you do a couple of the vents for this room, it actually will be still heating up because the transfer of event is a bit slow. And second, the digital valve that you can have to program it, it's actually more expensive. Like this is just iron plastic glass. The valve is, I think, invar if memory serves well. So it's a little bit pointless. Second, if you're doing this very early and you might not have, electrum or solder or didn't get your furnace, set up right, you can pretty much pull up the weather station somewhere you can see it and observe if it's spinning. And remember, you need to close this door and then open it. But you know, since you will be getting quickly to some power and a little bit of automation, I'm gonna get my money on it, and I'm gonna think that you're gonna get IC code very early in the game, and you can automate this with a few lines of code, and that's it. Anyway, I mentioned steel at the beginning on solar panels, right? So the solar panels, not those ones, but the one that you can install over there, they require steel to build. And I'm gonna say that many of you, if not most of all, gonna go for those solar panels because, well, you can program them, set the angle, and get more, beneficial for your resources, more actual bang for a buck. So you're gonna actually charge your base, using those. If you have steel, and if you have a little bit excess of steel, or you are proficient with making those, you can actually even skip all of that shenanigans with the weather station and doors and so on, and get those, which are padded walls. See, padded walls, I tin or regular, are rated for 300 kPa, which within Venus, it's absolutely fine. You can put those and then vacuum the room inside, and it's okay. The kit costs one steel, and then to construct the wall, it's another steel and glass. So they're much more expensive in terms of steel usage. Not so much as resources, but um, if you are okay with making steel and early in the game you can make a bit or more extra, you can go with that route. The thing is, that box is, I think, 6x6. So 5x6 to be exact. So this is 30 on the top and another 20 something, well, 30 on the sides, right? That's 120 steel. Off you go, lost over there. So if you're not proficient with this one, going with iron is perfectly easy and cheap and doable. And if you are okay with the steel and you don't want to play with IC code, for example, or doors, although having weather station and some IC logic to, for instance, enable light and siren to tell you that you should go back to base from the mining expedition, it's additional bonus. But if you don't want to do this for any reason, well, use paddle walls. You build them in, Autolite Mark 1, and that's it. So again, you can have them early in the game. You just require steel and silicon for glass. And yes, they are okay with all of the weather events and the pressure difference because that room inside, it's a vacuum, because that's landing pad, that's vending machine, and that's ice crusher that provides me with water and oxygen and other gases for my survival on Venus. Like, I'm playing stationary difficulty, and this is day 31, and I had this solar panels, I think, at day 8, just after first storm, and this setup about day 20 when I got my seats and ice. But that's for a different story. That's for a different video. Anyway, I hope you get a little bit of idea how to get early solar power on Venus using basic resources, using starting resources, using a hole that I dig out. Oh my god. Anyway, it's supposed to be some nice outro and I blew it. So I'm gonna just go over here and close myself in this room. if I can. See ya.